This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, getting you ready for today's sports day.
3 of the first 4 games have been at home, so at some point in time you're going to have to venture outside the 806, so that'll start this week.
While having a little fun along the way.
Always good if you can blame it on somebody else, right?
Yeah, sure.
Especially some media guy.
Sure. Right, some media guy.
Catch the show live weekday mornings from 6 to 9 on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3.
One thing that I was not happy with, and one of the things that people were not happy with that were watching and invested, and I get that they have to switch to the Cowboy game, but man, you would think with all the channels that Fox has got and that the NFL has access to, that they would allow them to go to Fox Sports 1 or Fox Sports 2 or something when a game's going into overtime so you can see the finish of the game. Because that's the second week in a row that's happened where there's been a game that I've kind of got involved in or kind of flipped over to see the end of and then didn't get to see the end of it.
Yeah, but I mean, in this city, in this area of the world, 98% of the people wanted to watch the Cowboys game.
No. But I mean, just if you want to be able to go flip back and forth to be able to watch the overtime, just at some point in time, the NFL is gonna do that with all these, with all that Fox has or CBS has or NBC has, all the extra access channels. Like, okay, if you want to flip to this game, you can go to the Dink right now.
Yeah, that's fair, but I mean, I think the local affiliate did the right thing.
No, they don't have a choice. I mean,
if that was a Chiefs game, you'd be like, who cares about the Bills and Vikings? Let's get to the Chiefs.
No, again, right? And there's no question. I mean, and again,
I need to see that opening kickoff.
Let me see who beats the drum, But again,
I'd have been much more willing to watch that overtime if I knew how the Cowboys are going to perform in the second half.
Well, that was the time when the Cowboys were playing well.
Yeah, before the game started.
Anyway,
the last time they were playing well all weekend.
I completely agree with everything that you're saying. I'm just saying, at some point in time, they're gonna figure that out. But it is what it is. We'll have Red Raider basketball on the air tonight. They take on Louisiana Tech, and this is their last home game before they will head to Hawaii next week. So that'll be cool for them as they take on a team that is coached by Talvin Hester, who used to be here at Texas Tech. Red Raiders are ranked 25th in the country. They're 2-0 on the season. They have wins over Northwestern State and Texas Southern. So haven't truly been tested yet, right?
I think you could say that.
Truly been tested.
Or it all been tested.
Yeah. It all been tested.
They haven't even taken a quiz yet.
And one of the guys that could have helped them be tested, for Texas Southern, he got hurt. He got hurt here in Lubbock. Their big guy. Their star player. Tweaked the leg or something, and wasn't able to play. And I heard Hacks talking about him on his show this week on the End of the Bench, saying he'd really hoped that he would have been able to play, just from the standpoint that he would have gotten a truer test from Texas Southern.
Sure.
Not that you're looking to be tested, in terms of taken down to the nitty gritty or the wire, but you certainly want to see how your team performs against tougher teams, because clearly the schedule will start to turn here real quick, like in Hawaii. Starts to turn.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, after this game, it'll be tougher, no doubt.
So they'll play in the Jim Maui Invitational. That's straight off the press release.
Maui Jim Maui.
Maui Jim Maui. They'll take on number 9 Creighton on Monday, a week from tonight. Okay, so a week from today.
Big Monday early on in the season.
Right.
And Creighton's top 10?
Number 9, yeah.
Number 9?
Yeah. So
I knew they were close.
Yeah, you don't want to look past Louisiana Tech, right? But that's, I'm sure that nice little trip to Hawaii probably on some guys' minds for next week would be my guess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much kids that age are, just obsessed with going to Hawaii, but You would think that it would be a fun trip for those guys. Though.
Yeah,
surely the team will take them some cool places and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure get to go down to the beach, all that kind of stuff. Probably have some good food, some nice meals, Hawaiian fare.
Again, I don't know that the team's obsessed with that kind of stuff. That's like adult kind of stuff, right?
Well, going to the beach, you mean?
Going to the beach, I think is they'll be cool with that.
Yeah,
but like
probably have some kind of
thinking about we're gonna have some Hawaiian delicacies. That's probably not
drinking
21-year-old kids stuff.
Drinking out of a coconut or something like that is probably not what they're gonna do.
Do people really do that?
Yeah,
You've done that?
I have not drank out of a coconut, but if I were going to Hawaii and one was, I will tell you this: I drank out of a. In Cabo, I drank out of a pineapple. They had a pineapple drink where they had these like chainsaws, and these guys were carving up pineapples, and then they had some kind of drink that they put in the pineapple thing.
My guess would be something with rum.
It was extremely tasty, and there were two things that they did. They were grilling up chicken by the side of the pool, and then they had these chainsaws with pineapples and drinks. And I just remember these guys were at least these chefs, long sleeve white shirts, black pants, and a chef hat. I mean, it was like hotter than blazes. And these poor guys were they were slinging it. But that chicken was so good, and that pineapple drink was so good, make you want to go back.
Good.
Like today would make you want to go back today.
Especially when it's cold.
Yeah, right. Now, Texas Tech will either play Arkansas or Louisville, depending on who wins and loses.
That would be 14. Well, it can't be Arkansas because the Arkansas is 14, so now we've got to say 14 for Arkansas, right?
Right.
I think I lost Chuck there, Jamie.
Yeah.
When you said 14, I was trying to figure out what you're talking about with 14.
Oddly enough, we were trying to figure out what you were talking about with Arkansas.
That's what I'm saying.
That this was the game.
I know that.
That started it all.
I know that. But you're trying to string dots together for people that maybe aren't strung together yet.
A little bit too much inside. A little too inside.
So anyway, they'll play Louisiana Tech tonight. We'll have it at 6. The tip's at 7. And then next week they take on Creighton. And depending if they win or lose, it's Arkansas or Louisville, both potentially tough teams. Arkansas is a top 10 team. Louisville's not ranked right now. Something out of the coconut would be pretty good probably right now. Probably kind of help my coffee a little bit. Okay.
Your morning blend of sports.
K-State is coming off a big win over Oklahoma. Of course, the Red Raiders off their 37-34 overtime win over number 22 Texas.
And humor.
Sure to tell them that. You suggested that. And of course, they got a big laugh.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3. Catch the show live weekdays from 6 to 9 on Double T 97.3 FM or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app.
Today is the 14th day of November 2022. Here is Jeff McGuire.
Starting in 1957. Seemed like a fun year because Hank Aaron of the Milwaukee Braves wins the National League MVP. 1964 Detroit Red Wings Gordie Howe sets an NHL record with 627 career goals. Obviously, in his entire career, not in one day. That would be impossible.
That would be rough. Yep.
1979, Californians Don Baylor wins the AL MVP. I always forget how good of a baseball player he is, or was, when I think of how good of a broadcaster he is.
Don Baylor?
Don Baylor?
No, I'm not Don. I'm thinking, never mind. I'm thinking somebody else. Never mind. Don Baylor, good baseball player.
He was a great baseball player.
Yeah.
Not a great fielder, but a terrific, a guy whose career would not have been as good if he wasn't if the DH didn't exist.
He was a DH a lot that year for the Angels.
Yeah, he was really good. He's got one of my favorite batting stances to emulate.
He was tough.
Oh yeah, he crowded the plate and leaned in and just wore it over and over again. That's one dude I wouldn't want to meet in a back alley. He was a tough guy.
1990.
But very likable, in my opinion.
James Worthy is in Houston. He's arrested and charged with 2 counts of solicitation He was sentenced to 1 year of probation, fined $1,000 in order to perform 40 hours of community service.
Okay.
1993.
Quite a shift.
Well,
Don Baylor to James Worthy.
1993. Don Shula becomes the coach in the with the most wins in NFL history.
Bill Belichick's going to go buy him.
Hasn't he already?
Not all time.
Oh,
That's
right, because
Shula
Shula coached for 85 years. That's right. 1996. Texas Rangers Juan Gonzalez wins the American League MVP.
And celebrates with his 4th marriage.
And still is
He'd have a couple more coming.
He still has yet to accept his Texas Ranger Hall of Fame induction, right? Isn't that where he's?
I don't think he was inducted, right? Because
I think he was wanting. They want to.
They wanted to, and he said he wouldn't come.
He wouldn't come. Yeah.
So the Rangers are like,
you can't find your way
no
here.
Thanks. Yeah, no doubt.
Definitely sour apples between the two, at least in one direction.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
He wasn't real happy with the contract that he got offered at the end when he went to Detroit afterwards. I think it was Detroit afterwards.
He was all over the place there at the end. So that, I don't know what. Again, I didn't know what the beef was there, but yeah.
And in 2018, New York Mets pitcher Jacob deGrom wins the National League Cy Young Award. His 10 wins are the fewest ever by a Cy Young winner in a non-strike shortened season. What won it for him? His 1.70 ERA and 29 consecutive start streak. It's the longest in Major League Baseball history.
All right, let me go back real quick. So this is a great example of you can do a lot of great things, but when you do something stupid, you get remembered for that even more. Okay? So, I mean, Juan won an MVP, right? I mean, great player. But I think of Juan Gonzalez, I laugh about the fact that he's been married 5 or 6 times. And I think about the one time where the official scorer for the Rangers didn't give him a hit on a questionable ball. And in his next at bat, he rips a single up the middle, and he's running up the first baseline. He's turning and looking towards the press box, yelling, like pointing at the guy, like, "Don't give me a hit on that one," or "You better give me a hit on." I mean, like what a child, what a petulant child, and how stupid he looked doing that. And I mean, those are the things I remember about Juan Gonzalez, which is sad because he was a great player. Great player. Really, really good hitter. Yeah. But acted like a fool, and that's what I remember about him.
He's got a lot of company in that manner.
That's totally fair. Totally fair. Yeah. Completely fair. Yeah.
It is National Homemade Guacamole Day.
I'm just not. I'm not always in on the guac. I have to be in a kind of a special kind of mood for the guac.
Is there a buy at the store guacamole day?
I'm sure there is somewhere. It's also
just at the grocery store guacamole day.
I'm guessing with it being homemade guac, it's also a day that I can't enjoy either. National Pickle Appreciation Day. So, yeah, I'm just going to stay home and not do anything with food. That's really what it is.
I'm a fan of the pickle, but I know Jamie's not.
I mean, a lot of people are. It's not, it's not one of my favorites, but yeah, it's a pretty popular item, obviously. Yeah.
Happy birthday to King Charles III, who's 74. Composer Yanni is 68. Josh Duhamel, 50. Francisco Lindor's 29. Patrick Warburton is 58. Devontae Smith is 25. Kyle Orton, 41. And Kurt Schilling is 57. And on this day in 1970, a chartered jet carrying most of the Marshall University football team clips a strand of trees and crashes into the hillside just 2 miles from the Tri-State Airport in Canova, West Virginia, killing everyone on board. The team was returning from a day's game of a 17-14 loss to East Carolina University. 37 Marshall football players were aboard the plane, along with the team's coach, its doctors, the university athletic director, and 25 team boosters, some of them of the Huntington, West Virginia's most prominent citizens who had traveled to North Carolina to cheer for the Thundering Herd. The whole fabric, a citizen of Huntington wrote later, the whole heart of our town was on board. Leading to, eventually, one of the few movies I like with a certain Texas Longhorn fan, and We Are Marshall, which is a really good movie, and that is This Day in Sports History.
I can't stand the whole Longhorn thing, but I think McConaughey's great. I mean,
In
I
that
love
movie?
Him.
Yeah.
No, I mean, as an actor.
Okay.
I mean, I enjoy a bunch of stuff that he does. I mean, I really like that movie too. But yeah, I can totally separate the Longhorn when he's acting in him.
Sure.
I separate.
It's got to be a good movie for me to do that. I can do it. It just got to be a really good movie.
That's a really good movie.
That's a really good movie.
How about Reign of Fire? It's another one of my favorite McConaughey's where he's fighting dragons.
It takes some time.
It's a really good one. I love it.
You're listening to the Morning Drive podcast from Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3, recapping the night that was in the world of sports.
A little bit later on tonight, we'll have the Astros and the Diamondbacks. That'll be at 8. And then the Rangers playing at Seattle tonight.
And also bringing some humor to your day.
Was it pretty big?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Impressive?
Yeah.
Was it fascinating?
I thought it was fascinating. It kind of smelled, but I mean.
Hear the show live weekday mornings at 6 on Double T 97.3 or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app.
Thank you for being with us today. Your thoughts, comments, Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to doublet973.com for that, or the morning mobile app. Mobile app is presented by Happy State Bank. Benchmark Hotline is open as well. This from South Texas, Ambassador Preston. Good morning, guys. Just want to say you had 34 carries distributed between your running backs. When you have 30-plus carries a game, you're 5-0 on the season. Bottom line, run the ball and give your best players on offense, and you're successful. Run the dang ball.
I'm not going to argue there.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're having a day, I mean, you can have that game plan all you want, but if your offensive line is not creating openings and the defensive front is shutting them down, you have to do something different. I totally get that. You didn't have that problem this week. You were able to get work done with your offensive line against their defensive front running the football. So good work by Coach Kitley and good work by the offensive line. I mean, we've been rough on them at times, and feels like they played pretty well. Obviously, not one of the tougher defenses in the league. We get it. We said that coming into the game. That's why I felt like you had a really good chance to win the game. But no, I thought the O-line did a great job.
He did say after the game that he felt like just right then and there that he felt like that was the offensive line's best game.
Okay, well.
And he also said that Jacoby Jackson is now the right guard. He said that Landon Peterson, they're going to shut him down. He's got a problem with his shoulder, may require surgery, but they don't want to hurt it anymore, and he's got a lot of football left in front of him. And then they were happy to have Monroe Mills back on the offensive line as well. So there you go. Lots that took place there on that offensive line. All right, the news on Tyree Wilson. Boy, that was really, really, really disappointing, and you could see devastating for him when he went out, and then knowing that he wasn't going to play in the second half, and even maybe there's even more that he'll miss with regard to this season. Here's Joey McGuire after the game with an update on Tyree Wilson.
We x-rayed, his foot just to make sure, nothing crazy happened. Everything really wasn't clear. It was enough to where we weren't going to put him back in the game. We put him in a boot. I think we'll x-ray again tomorrow, it really kind of see where it's at. Hopefully he's okay. If he's not, man, it's going to be really tough for us and that kid. He is everything you want in a football player, not just talent-wise, but just who he is and how much he cares about this team. So we'll get another look at it tomorrow to see, stress fracture, if there's a fracture, if it's an ankle, exactly what all it is. And then with that happening, you probably, especially him not going back in the game, you probably expect him not to play next week either way. And so we'll have to shuffle some people around. But I was really proud of, Josiah Pierre and Joseph Adedire and Isaac Smith came in and, played really well in the fourth quarter for.
So, it does not sound like good news. He was asked later on in the press conference on Saturday night if the x-rays showed anything further, and he said that he had not talked to the trainer at that point in time, and that basically in his mindset, once he's told that a player isn't available for the remainder of the game, he at that moment just says to himself, okay, I'm gonna worry about who's available and not necessarily what is wrong with him at the present time. So, if there was more there that was known on Saturday night, that's the extent of what he revealed. But you got the impression, just in hearing Chris Level on Double T 97.3 on Saturday night, talking about the number of players that were coming up to Tyree and talking to him, and Chris said that Tyree wasn't handling it well, meaning he was just emotional or upset or not. Just you could tell that there was something maybe a little bit more wrong with his foot than just a sprain.
Yeah, but as Coach McGuire, that all may be 100% fair and accurate and all that, and I don't doubt any of that. But at the same time, if what Coach McGuire says is true and how much that guy loves playing and how much he loves the team, he could have been really disappointed that he wasn't in for the rest of the second half.
And he talked about that too, and he mentioned that as well, that he wanted to go back in, but and wanted to play, but understood that. But he did talk about his love for the game. There's no question he talked about that.
But you think that if he was wanting to go back in, that they weren't telling him, you're probably done for the season.
Yeah, I don't know.
You would think, well, he would have been like, all right, well, in that case, let me get back in this game.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I just think there was, and again,
you might be 100% right, and I think what Chris Level's talking about there, and you see a guy's disappointment, and you see the teammates coming up to him, but I think that could be taken differently, right? Two different ways. Yeah,
and you just don't know until that X-ray that came through, and maybe had to do an MRI or anything like that. But the thing too for him is he's kind of worked his way into probably being a top 15 or even maybe higher draft choice.
I don't think this will hurt it.
No, but you don't want to hurt him further.
Sure, absolutely right.
That was my point. You don't want to hurt him any further than that. 7:21 this morning here on the morning drive. One of the key plays of the ball game, Jamie, was the interception by Kosai Eldridge right before the half, and Coach McGuire talked about that after the game, saying that was a big momentum swing. He said, we had lost momentum at that point in time, but the interception by Eldridge, and then. And we had talked about this.
A just terrible pass. If he doesn't pick it off, Dunlap is going to pick it off. He just throws it into a group of 3 Red Raiders. Just a horrendous pass.
And then we had talked about Trey Cleveland playing this week, and that he's kind of had this knack for a big play and explosive play, and he gets one, right before the half on a catch that sets up the field goal by Trey Wolf.
Sure.
So you felt like that you had momentum going in, certainly had excitement going in, and then KU gets the ball to start the third quarter, and they go on a long drive, and then get forced to kick a field goal, and it hits the upright again. So you had a lot of positive things happening right there. Boom, boom, end of the half, and then start of the half, second half as well.
Yeah, we talk about when will the Red Raiders finally catch a break here or there, whatever. 2 balls that go off the upright that have a chance to go in, neither one of them do. So I felt like you caught a couple breaks there, and I agree that the Eldridge interception, which led to the field goal to end the half, was, those were, that was huge momentum shift right there. You still were only up 6. So you couldn't be uber confident or whatever, knowing that Kansas was going to have the ball and a chance to take the lead for the first time in the game. But that was huge. That was a good finish to the half by the Red Raiders. Really good.
7:23 this morning here on the morning drive. Here is Coach McGuire. I just don't want to get to that just quite yet. Well, I think I do have time. So let me get to this, because the defense in the first half wasn't just tremendous, but I thought that they made some adjustments and settled down, and he talks about that as well, in addition to how they just gave up those explosive plays in the first half. And when you give up 525 yards, you go, wow, defense. But I think the defense locked in when they needed to. So we'll get his thoughts on that a little bit later this morning here on Lubbock Sports Station Double T 97.3.
Getting your sports day started the right way. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, breaking down the biggest games.
If Texas Tech does not win the Big 12 football conference, who are you rooting for to win the conference if Tech does not win it this year?
Well, busting some chops along the way.
I hold back on sending you stuff. I mean, I'm very, very, very judicious.
We spend 3 hours a day, 5 days a week together. Why would we need to communicate during the weekends?
Right,
Save it for the show.
We do. We save it for the show.
Tune into the Morning Drive live weekdays from 6 to 9 on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is presented by Bizarre Solutions. Call them today for a free cybersecurity audit.
All right, what you got for us on this fine Monday for our fine listening audience and for Jeff and myself?
All right, it's a Victory Monday, so I'm going to ask you a question. Why is that funny?
Okay, because that's kind of a cowboy thing. And that's Brad Sham thing, but it's just kind of made me laugh a little, chuckle a little bit.
Yeah, we noticed.
That's good.
Okay. So I want to stay on the positive side of things, which would make sense for the Red Raiders. Mm-hmm. So my question to you today is, who gets the game ball from Saturday's game if you're handing one out?
Me? I'm handing it to Tyler Shuck, because I thought that he was calm, cool, collected. I thought he was you remember the movie Heaven Can Wait? Basically the quarterback dies on the sideline, and then it basically kind of has to wait for somebody else to die because that was a mistake. He dies in a bicycle accident, and it was a mistake. He wasn't supposed to die. And then he's able to get into somebody else's body, and he trains that body to become a starting quarterback. And basically, it kind of reminded me of that, in that the quarterback that Shuck was versus TCU was not the quarterback that he was versus KU. And it just looked like he was a completely different person and a completely different quarterback. It was almost kind of like the guy that was there before was not there anymore, and now you got this guy. And I thought that he was the reason why you won the football game, the way that he handled himself, the way that he ran the football, the way he threw the football. I mean, you could say, okay, he wasn't spectacular, but to me, he gets the game ball.
Okay.
Shuck's a good answer. And had he not said Shuck, I probably would have. But to throw a different guy out there?
Ball marked at the 41, a 51-yard try. Plenty long, and it is good! Trey Wolf nails the field goal as time runs out to end the half, and the Red Raiders will go to the locker room with a 6-point lead, 27-21.
51-yard field goal at the end of half after a timeout was called where he missed the kick, which is why I never want to call a timeout there if I'm a coach. Do it well before he kicks the ball. He made 3 clutch field goals in this game that you needed. That deserves a ball.
Okay, I can buy into that.
I can buy into that. And plus, I don't think they had a return on him either.
He did a good job, no doubt. And again, as we talked about earlier, I thought that the field goal right before half, Eldridge's pick that led to the field goal right before half was some really good momentum swing there for the Red Raiders. So I was a fan of that. So I can buy into that. I'm not giving it to a player. I'm giving it to Zach Kitley. I love the way you stuck running the football in this game. Okay. I don't think you could see you were able to create running lanes up front for your backs and for your quarterback, not just your running backs. And I mean, sometimes I think offensive coordinators try to outthink themselves, and you didn't do that. You used 3 running backs that I thought all looked good. You didn't use Sir Roderick a ton for whatever reason. I thought Valdez looked good. I thought Taj looked good. Sir Roderick obviously had a really big run as well. And then Tyler Shuck ran the ball well also. So I thought the game plan that protected Tyler Shuck a little bit in some of his inefficiencies or whatever, I thought it was really good. It was, put in place towards his strengths. And I thought Tyler showed good stuff, and I thought Coach Kitley had him really prepared for that Kansas defense. And I thought he called a really good game. I think that he's taken a good amount of criticism this year. Some of it I think fair, some of it I think not fair. But I thought that was a really good game plan there on Saturday, and kudos to the offense for executing it.
Okay.
It's fun how things on the offensive side of the ball can look good when your offensive line plays well. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's where a pick should have gone, to the offensive line.
Could have been, yeah.
When you run the ball like you do, when you see your quarterback only get sacked once, and you have that much success running the football, maybe the offensive line should have gotten it.
Yeah, maybe so. Trey Wolf had 4 touchbacks. He did have 3 kickoff returns. A couple guys mentioned that. 3 for 36 yards. My heaven can wait analogy was probably a little bit of a stretch. But I just thought he looked like a completely different quarterback. And I've been thinking about that this weekend going, he just kind of reminded me of that movie. You ever see that movie?
I don't know the movie.
Okay, that's okay. Jeff, you've seen it.
In bits and pieces over a 10-year window, I think. Yeah. Where I've probably seen it all. Mm-hmm. As you're describing, I was like, oh yeah, that sounds familiar. Yeah. I don't remember what happened next in the movie. I probably should have just kept that. I probably should have kept that analogy to myself. No, then I wouldn't have gotten a promo out of today's show. Somebody says the look on Jamie's face while Chuck was explaining how Tyler Shuck died and came back and someone else's body was priceless. That's that in a nutshell.
It was not.
It wasn't my best.
It was not as entertaining as last week's comparison between Bryson Williams and Davion Hampton.
Davion,
yeah.
Davion, whatever his name is. Yeah, probably so. PJ wants to know, when's the last time we had 4 guys with 50 or more yards rushing? I don't know. I'm
willing to bet Spike Dykes was the coach.
I was really, Kobe says this, I was really proud, ran the ball, quarterback played well, won the turnover battle. Yeah. It was great seeing Shuck play with confidence, so I'd like to see him get the start this week because I think his experience would be valuable against the Iowa State defense.
Harmon, not Hampton. Yeah. I'm sorry. My bad.
Give Morton another week to heal, then bring him back for OU. I kind of think, don't you think Tyler Shuck's the starting quarterback right now for Iowa State, regardless of Baron Morton's health?
And if Baron Morton is 100%, he's my starting quarterback. Okay. I'm sorry. I think Tyler played well. Okay. I just don't think he has the explosive upside that Baron Morton has. Okay. Now, I will say this. We're going against the Cloud.
Right. It's
the best defense in the conference. Mm-hmm. Does that mean you want a guy with more experience? Is that better? Again, I think sometimes we talk about Tyler Shuck and his experience like he's started for 4 years. I mean, he's played what now? 6 games in the last 2 years.
That's a fair point.
Okay. I mean, he wasn't a full-time starter at Oregon the first couple of years he was there. And so he probably has 4 or 5 more starts than Barron. But I don't know. You could talk me into Tyler for this week because of how tough the defense is going to be, but Baron Morton's healthy. He's my quarterback.
Okay.
You're tuned in to the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3, recapping the night that was in the world of sports.
That's not to say that they don't respect the run game that you have, but you're talking about one quarterback leading the conference in passing so far this year. And remember, he didn't start the first game.
All right.
Still played a lot, though.
And also bringing some humor to your day.
I just don't want to disappoint you. As much as I disappoint you, I don't want to disappoint you in some things that you expect from me.
Hear the show live weekday mornings at 6 on Double T 97.3 or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app.
Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. It's a Victory Monday. Right?
We won, so I'm going to call it that.
Yeah, we can take that from Brad Sham and the Cowboys. They are not using that today.
They are not. so we're allowed to borrow it. We're not giving it back.
It's
The Cowboys have the Vikings next week, right? This week.
yeah,
now.
in Minnesota. So Vikings coming off a thrilling victory over the Buffalo Bills in overtime. Cowboys coming off of a thrilling loss to the Green Bay Packers in overtime. That was
a thrilling loss.
I was trying to be funny.
Missed.
I mean, you're looking up in the dictionary how to beat yourself. Exhibit A, Buffalo versus Minnesota. Yesterday.
There's no doubt. Yeah, there's
Exhibit A.
There's no question about it. Clay is.
And now you understand why Bills fans are crazy people. This Bills Mafia thing. They're just crazy people. It's because the Bills have made them unstable.
They've done this to you, right?
Unstable.
What inspired you to be a Bills fan?
I had
an
aunt that bought a Bills outfit. I actually left the hospital wearing a Bills outfit.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've been a Bills fan ever since. Yeah. And so maybe that makes me really stubborn. That we talked about earlier about coaches, being able to make adjustments and evolve. I never evolved as an NFL fan. Apparently, I just because the smarter choice would have been pick another franchise that doesn't make their fans lose their minds.
Did your parents look at that as a blessing or a curse that you left the hospital in a Bills outfit?
I don't think they cared.
Is it a onesie? Did it have footies? Was it footies too?
I don't think it had footies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, no footies.
I think it was a onesie, though.
It was a onesie.
I would assume so.
Okay. Well, just thought I'd throw that out to you.
You just want to picture Jamie in a onesie. We understand.
No, I really don't want to picture Jamie in a onesie. Let's see here. Coach Joey McGuire on his football team. Let's talk. Let's get a little something from him on his Texas Tech defense. The first half, and look, you give up 525 yards, you can go, man. There was a lot that you like, man, but they were explosive. KU was. That's as explosive an offense as I think as I've ever seen from that team, going even back to the 70s. Just have not been the skill position like at quarterback and especially the running back and what they did on 4th and 1 and getting to the kid that helped them beat Texas.
Fat boy touchdown, gotta love it.
Yeah, it was
just disappointed we didn't get one late in the game
right.
from Jalen Hutchins.
Right.
Was it Hutchins or Bradford that scooped that? Hutchins, right?
Hutchins, yeah. That scooped that up. Yeah. He was prepared to run with it though.
I know, man. I bet you he was going to have a good celebration dance too.
He was taking steps with it. I almost thought that maybe they would reward him like Coach McGuire had talked about during his coach's show on Thursday because he had slipped a note in. Hey, why don't you let me run?
I don't think that would be the time to be messing around.
Probably not. Probably not.
Giving a defensive tackle the football.
Probably not. But anyway, here's Coach McGuire on the Texas Tech defense in the first half, and then a little bit about what they did and how they settled down in the second.
Very frustrating. If you were on the headsets in the first half, man, it was something on the defensive side of the ball because it was very frustrating because, we lost some eye discipline and gave up some big plays and, lost the edge. And that's something we haven't done. That's one thing, defensively. We've set edges and we've really, for the last 3 or 4 games, our eyes have been in good places. That third quarter, I think, Tim did a good job of just settling our guys down at halftime, really going back to some base calls to allow them to play fast and get lined up. And then we were able to pressure the quarterback some in that third quarter and really pressure the quarterback in the fourth quarter.
And they were able to do that. And then, the defense, got that big interception with Kosai Eldridge there to end the first half. And then, Jamie, I don't know where it was specifically in the game, but it was on the same series where you had Malik Dunlap on one side of the ball, on one side of the field, deflect a pass, and then Dadrian Taylor Demerson did it on the opposite side of the field. It was like on the same possession. But both those guys do a really good job of deflections in the Big 12. And And we saw some of that Saturday night. So
Yeah, I think Demerson's on 4th down. That was in the first half, wasn't it? If I'm remembering correctly.
it might have been. I did not go
It was
back
on
and
the
look at
west side of the field.
Yeah, there was one on the west side, and then Malik Dunlap had one on my side of the field.
Yeah, that was on the east side. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was in the first half.
Okay.
That helped you build the 17-7 lead.
17-7 lead. Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Those guys played decent. They made some breaks on the ball. Obviously, the big play early on to their fullback was, I don't know. You know what? I clearly the dude was wide open, and actually had two guys that were wide open right over there. A 4th and 1, I almost like. There's part of me that's like, I get it. I understand. They were doing everything they could.
Sure,
4th and inches. Yeah, to stop the run there, and credit KU for executing. I mean, it was a perfect pass, and the big guy caught it on the run. I mean, he couldn't have been thrown any better. But, boy, the one that, speaking of Taylor Demerson and doing good things, boy, the one early on in the second half, just right over the middle, that it should have been a pick. I mean, was disappointed that we didn't pull that one in, because that would have been a big play early on in the second half. Where he looked like he just kind of mistimed his jump a little bit, and that's one of those plays where you go, great defensive back. That's why he doesn't play wide receiver.
There's
Great athlete, made a good break on the ball. He got his hands in the right place and did not catch it.
Yeah. I'll say this. When you're up 36-28, this is KU's got the ball. 1st and 10 from their own 25. This is when Bean gets sacked and then is fumbled. There was a guy downfield that was wide open. I mean, there wasn't anybody within 30 yards of him. But
when you put pressure on a guy and you're making him move out of the pocket, it's difficult sometimes to find those guys.
And maybe he saw him and was trying to get set, but he could never get set to be able to throw the ball that far, because he was going to have to heave it about 50 yards.
Yeah.
But boy, if he could have gotten it to him, they would have been lining up for a 2-point conversion. But he did not get to him.
You've been listening to the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3. For more from Lubbock Sports Station, go to doublet973.com.